Hey everyone, Emma here, also known as 8vinyllow, bringing all of you another video. Today's video is going to be my April/May 2023 vinyl haul video. I want to share with you all some of the albums that I've added in my collection over the last couple of months. And I will say that I feel like this haul in particular definitely kind of highlights my musical taste, which is everything and anything that sounds good. It's all over the place. It doesn't make sense. Of course, it's diverse, but it is what I enjoy. So I think you're going to get a kick out of how diverse these pickups are. But again, it just kind of highlights my music taste and who I am and what music I enjoy to listen to. So my number one rule of thumb, right, is if it sounds good, it sounds good. So we're going to go all the way back to one of the first pickups of this new kind of vinyl haul video, and that is Metallica's new album, 72 Seasons. Now, I'm sure that some of you are probably sick and tired of seeing this cover here in the vinyl community, and some of you probably get excited with seeing this. It's a hit or miss. But I did pick up Metallica's new album. Now, I would consider myself a very casual Metallica fan, extremely casual. I know some of the hit songs, I know some of their albums, but I don't listen to them all that often. I do enjoy Metallica, and when I am in the mood to listen to them, I love it. But I'm not like some huge fan, right? I rarely showcase them on this channel. But I will say this was kind of like a FOMO buy. Because everybody was talking about this album when it came out, and there was so much hype around this album that I decided to jump in and pick this up as well. Marika and Jared's a huge Metallica fan. They were talking about it. They were talking about picking this up. Cody is a Metallica fan. So I ended up picking up this album when I was at Walmart. This is the Walmart exclusive. Ended up going home, listening to it, and I really enjoyed it. Again, I'm not a huge fan. I know some people, some major Metallica fans like it, love it. Some don't like it. Some don't think it's that good. I really enjoy this album, and I can see myself listening to this over and over again, which I have. I can definitely see myself pulling this out from time to time. So this is the Walmart exclusive on this kind of like yellow/black splattered vinyl. The last song on this album, that 11-minute or 12-minute song, Inamorata, very good. I love the singles off this album. Their early releases like If Darkness Had a Sun, and of course Lux Eterna. Overall, I feel like it's a super solid album, and I have found myself listening to it kind of over and over again over the past few months. So I'm a fan, really good album, and had to add that to the collection. Also picked up a classic, Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast. Again, I wouldn't even consider myself, even though I was a casual Metallica fan, I wouldn't even say I'm a casual Iron Maiden fan. I really don't know that much about Iron Maiden outside of like 2 or 3 songs. But the reason why I picked this up, so this is the Studio Collection Remastered, originally released 1982. The reason why I picked this album up is because I have great memories listening to this album with my friends, the youngest members of the VC, last summer in St. Louis. We were jamming out to this album in the car, and in particular, the song The Prisoner came on, and I just remember everybody going nuts over that song. I remember Dylan doing his air drumming, which was like spot on, and again, I just have so many great memories tied to this album now. Recent memories, some of you have memories that go all the way back to childhood with this album. But now I'm getting into it, and I'm understanding the hype, and I'm also developing my own memories with this album and with some of these songs. So I needed to pick this up. It reminded me of my friends, and it's a really, really great listen. So like I said, I do definitely understand the hype behind this album, and I'm very excited to add that to the collection. Now, this is a stone cold classic. This is definitely an Emma pickup, an album that I've been needing in my collection for a while, that I've put off, but finally didn't want to put off anymore, and that is this great debut from 1977, not Cheap Trick, but another great artist. This is Elvis Costello, My Aim Is True. This is just a reissue, remastered edition. Now, I would say that this album kind of serves as like an Elvis Costello's greatest hits, okay? You have Welcome to the Working Week, Miracle Man, you guys kind of know what's on here, but Blame It on Kane, Allison, which is the huge hit off of here, Watching the Detectives, which I love, then side 2, The Angels Want to Wear My Red Shoes, which is a great song, Waiting for the End of the World. Definitely, like I said, kind of like a greatest hit, so... needed this in the collection. Love Elvis Costello. I'd probably say that this album is in my top 3 favorite Elvis Costello records. My favorite has to be Armed Forces, just because I grew up with that record and listening to it over and over and over again. Totally fell in love with it. But as I was going through kind of a major Elvis Costello phase a handful of years ago, this was definitely one that I loved as well. So I needed this in the collection, and I finally added it and picked that up. Switching genres again. This is another kind of newer pickup, the African American Legacy recordings put out by the National Museum of African American History and Culture. This is a Smithsonian Folkways, and that is Our Native Daughters, Songs of Our Native Daughters. This was a recommendation by John over at the Digital Gramophone. He has shown this album and talked about this album on YouTube, on Instagram, and I saw a post a couple of months ago. He was re-listening to this album and posted it on Instagram, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna pick this up. So I ended up grabbing this. It was fairly cheap on Amazon. I think I got it for like $15 or $16, but it is just a phenomenal album with extremely gifted, talented musicians. You have Rhiannon Giddens, you have Amethyst Kaya. I really got into Amethyst Kaya with her debut album a couple of years ago. Layla McCalla, Allison Russell, super talented musicians in their own right, coming together and putting together and recording something very needed and very, very important in my opinion. This album kind of highlights the struggles of Black women in America. It touches on themes like racism and sexism, but also the perseverance of Black women in our country's history. So it's a very sobering, very important, very brutally honest, personal album, but these musicians are incredible. So highly recommend picking this up. Like I said, I got it for a great price on Amazon. Hopefully it's still that price. If it is, pick this up. This is definitely a needed album in everybody's collection, in my opinion. All right, then the next couple of records that I'm going to show you most recently saw in my latest video at the Riverbend Records kind of road trip / impromptu VC meetup. If you haven't seen that video, I recommend going to watch it. It's a lot of fun and has a lot of vinyl community member cameos in there, so definitely check that out. So I'm not going to talk too much about these next few albums since you've already seen them, but I did want to share them as they are part of my most recent pickups. I did grab Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, the Wilco reissue remastered edition from I think the end of last year or early this year. It comes on this kind of creamy white vinyl, so an album that I've needed in my collection for a while, as well as, since I was with Marican and Jared at Riverbend, I always pick up Queen when I'm with Marican and always kind of fill out my Queen discography, and this was one that I was surprisingly missing, so I rectified that. This is Queen, A Day at the Races. This one has Tie Your Mother Down, Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy, Somebody to Love, which is the big song off of this one, and so on. So grab that. And then I also grabbed a unofficial European import of Rush's Clockwork Angels. Comes on this kind of creamy white vinyl. Rush Clockwork Angels, the originals of this, if you can find them, go for decent money, and I got a pretty good price on this import, this unofficial import. So also happy to add this into the collection. So those were, like I said, if you watched my most recent video before this one, those were part of the Riverbend vlog / digging / pickups. When Marican and Jared were in, we didn't just go to Riverbend. The next day we ended up driving all the way up to Rockford, Illinois, also known as Trickford, home of the greatest band in the whole wide world. And we stopped at Toad's Halls and Books and Records over in Rockford. Culture Shock was closed because it was Sunday, so I always recommend, if you're in Rockford, Culture Shock and Toad's, both great record stores. Culture Shock was closed, but we did end up going to Toad's, and I did end up picking up a couple of records, so I do want to showcase those. I ended up grabbing ZZ Top's Eliminator, a classic from 1983, and an album that I didn't have in my collection, so definitely kind of filling in gaps, as you can tell, with some of these very important, very great albums. So ZZ Top, Eliminator, surprisingly didn't have this. This is actually the Rhino 2023 Start Your Ear Off Right reissue remastered edition, the 40th anniversary edition, which does come on this gold vinyl. So ended up, you know what, I was like, even though you can find Eliminator and you can get it for a pretty cheap price, I ended up popping for this 40th anniversary edition. You know it's going to sound good. It's Rhino, and it's just a great album. It's an album that you definitely want some good sounds coming out of. So I grabbed that. And then last but not least, this was kind of my fun find of the weekend. I ended up finding this record at Toad's. This is Gem Records presents Pete Townshend, featuring performances from the Weaklings, the Gripweeds, the Anderson Council, but more importantly, the thing that stood out to me was the Midnight Callers. So you guys know, if you've been watching me, I'm a huge Midnight Callers fans. I did a video about kind of promoting their new album that they have coming out towards the end of June, which, again, reminder, the pre-order for that album is out. You can get this one on vinyl. Rattled Humming Heart comes out in a few weeks. Highly recommend picking that up if you are a fan of good old-fashioned rock and roll. Power pop, if you're a fan of Cheap Trick, pick that up. But I saw this, Gem Records, Pete Townshend. I knew that this came out, but I didn't know that it came out on vinyl. I thought that this was a CD-only release. So it features the Midnight Callers. They end up doing a cover of Let My Love Open the Door. So, and I've heard that cover, I think through streaming or on YouTube or something like that. So this was definitely a surprising and fun find, and I couldn't pass this up, so I needed to pick this up and add it into my collection. I cannot wait for that album. I think it comes out, like I said, towards the end of June, so keep an eye out for that. But that is my April/May vinyl pickups. Let me know what you think of some of the albums that I've picked up down in the comments below. Like I said, it's all over the place. This is my music taste in a nutshell. You go from heavy metal to folk music to power pop to synth blues to progressive rock with Rush and so on. So that's, it's just, hey, if it sounds good, it sounds good. But that's all for this video, everybody. I hope that all of you are doing well, and I will see you guys for my next video. Bye, guys.